Hello and welcome to the first drive of the 2018 Ford Mustang. While it might look much the same as the 2017 model, Ford has made a ton of claims about its latest pony car. Join us here in Malibu, California as we test those claims and see how the new car stacks up. The 2018 Ford Mustang is the next evolution of the S550 platform, and it's the first one to really bring the Mustang into the 21st century. You know, it's a giant leap ahead from the S197 cars that were built from 2005 to 2014, and as a mid-cycle refresh, it really has taken the car to the next level. And while the S550, still has some traits of its muscle car roots, it's really not a car to go down to 1320 anymore. Instead, it's a vehicle that you can tackle canyon roads like this. You could go out and you could tangle with cars that cost 3 and 4 times the price of this thing out of the box. So let's talk about what's new for this kind of mid-cycle refresh of the Mustang. One of the options that I like is the addition of the active exhaust, and that's fantastic because here's the thing. They've dialed it in such a way that you could program it so you don't piss off your neighbors, and that's kind of cool. No longer is this a car that is just relegated to the quarter mile. Instead, it's a car that can chase cars through canyons at basically any speed you want. Now, on the surface, you may not think that there's a lot going on or a lot of changes, but I'm here to tell you that there's a lot more to this car than meets the eye. So here's the thing, for a mid-cycle refresh, this thing got a big bump in power. Power from the Coyote is now 460 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. I'm going to say that again, 460 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. Now, I'm kind of old in the fact that I grew up when the original Fox bodies came out and the 5-liter was just introduced. And back then, I think it had like 220 horsepower. And back in the 80s, you were the king. I mean, everybody wanted a 5-liter Mustang. And we're living in kind of a renaissance now. It's the kind of like golden age of the muscle car. So the fact that Ford is putting out a car with that much power that you can buy for under $35K out of the box is pretty amazing. And then when you also think about the 2.3-liter EcoBoost motor that puts out over 300 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, that's another thing that's a little bit ridiculous, right? Now, from the transmission standpoint, we have the 6-speed MT82 manual that I have right here, or you can get a brand new 10-speed automatic. That's another great thing, because not only does that improve mileage, but you're getting the new technology, it's more comfortable to drive, it does have paddles and you can play with it a little bit, but for this test, we wanted the manual, which is what we have. And when you combine the manual with the performance pack car, like this one, which means a 373 torsion rear diff, big old Brembos up front, sport tune suspension, my mode to set your car however you want, and a big lump of power, you get to do things like this. And here's the thing, Mustangs of old, people would get in and they'd be like, you know what, they're big, they're heavy, they're wallowy. That's just not the case anymore. I mean, these cars are rock solid handlers. You could pitch this into a corner, throttle out, drop a gear, and they really do reward you as a driver. It's fun being in a car like this that doesn't cost close to 6 figures, that you can jump in and you can dice it up with some of the big boys, and in many cases you can catch them, you can pass them, you can embarrass them in a car that started out 60 years ago as kind of a secretary's car. From an interior perspective, Ford has done quite a few things to kind of update the look and feel. Now, for the longest time, you would get in a Mustang and it was just a sea of kind of dark plastics and gray and kind of hard materials that just felt kind of cheap and tacky. That is no longer the case. Now keep in mind that this is and will always be Ford's pony car, right? So don't expect to get into this thing and find an interior that would be found on a car that's $80,000 or $90,000. That's simply not going to happen. Right now we have these Recaro seats, and these seats, they've kind of been around for a while, right? These are the same Recaros that are in the S197 cars with the track package, and I know this because I have one, except now they're covered in leather, and they're super comfortable. They're manually adjustable, and they really do provide all-day comfort. The other thing is they do have the pass-through, so if you do want to take this thing on the track, you can throw a harness bar in it and strap yourself in so you don't slide all over the goddamn place. Now, this car also comes with the performance package, which means you get some ancillary gauges on the dash, like an oil pressure and a vacuum gauge. The console itself, or I should say the gauge cluster itself, is a brand new 12-inch unit that can be completely adjustable to however you want, depending on the mode that you want to drive it. So just to give you an example, I've got a bunch of toggle switches that are down here, and I can kind of flip these through the modes to go to sport mode, track mode, normal mode, drag race mode. And when I do that, the entire console changes, right? So in one sense, I could kind of flip the console and I'll have two analog gauges. Granted, they're digital, but still, they're analog readouts. Flip it again and I'll have something that'll show me my lateral Gs. Flip it again and I'll have a massive tach. So I can control how I want this to look. But one of the coolest parts about this car is what's called My Mode. And that you can get in this thing, and you can set the car up to your individual taste. You can set the active exhaust. You can set what mode it starts in. You can set the steering feel so that every time you get in the car, all you have to do is hit the My Mode switch, and boom, it goes back to where you want. It's customized to your settings and your liking. And yeah, it's no worries. It's your car. Now, what this car also has is the MagneRide suspension. And that's pretty cool because that's stuff that's straight down from the GT350. Now, the MagneRide, that gives you a much more compliant ride. It senses and reacts to how you drive the car. So, you know, on a regular kind of open, bumpy road like this, it feels fine. But then once you jump in kind of a hardcore setting, it adapts and really makes the car handle really well. Is it a direct competitor for, you know, a ZL1 1LE? This one? No, it's not. Will the Performance Pack 2 be? Maybe, but I haven't driven it yet. Until then, we'll just keep dropping gears and listen into this thing sing. So, what's the verdict on this 2018 Ford Mustang? Well, considering it's a mid-cycle refresh, I would say the verdict is pretty damn good. I mean, we love the 460 horsepower the new 5-liter puts out. We love the MagneRide suspension from the Performance Pack and the big Brembo brakes. We also love the leather interior and the updated tech. The other thing you have to consider, while the GT is an absolute riot of a car, don't overlook the EcoBoost model. For those of you that are saying, well, a Mustang shouldn't come with an i4, I'm here to tell you that you are completely incorrect because the EcoBoost removes, well, about 100 pounds off the front end. It's great, it's quick, it turns in, and with 350 pound-feet of torque, it's an absolute hoot to drive on a tight canyon road. And it's a car to think of as like a GT Lite that doesn't really sacrifice that much in the way of performance. These cars are both a great evolution for the Mustang, and Ford should be proud of what they did because driving these things on these canyon roads, we had an absolute blast and the cars were fantastic. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on the House of Muscle.
Before you go, make sure to subscribe to the House of Muscle channel by clicking below so we can keep you posted and update you on everything that is the House of Muscle.